All right, tonight we're going to talk about the kingdom, and some of you have heard this many times, and most unfortunately you're going to hear it many times more. Well, our kingdom must be understood if you're ever going to be the ruler of it. Our kingdom must be put into words, explanations, symbols, so that when you think about your kingdom, you can divide it up with your own attitudes, your own activities, and work on it wherever it needs to be worked. Our kingdom is divided into 4 divisions. We're talking about now your kingdom, my kingdom. Every human being that is created has come into the physical form as a kingdom. The reason that it's called kingdom is back in Bible time, the highest authority was a king. So Master Jesus referred to it as a kingdom. I could call it your computer system, but we'll stick with kingdom. Now, how is it divided? We have these divisions. Your first division is called Maya. Maya is these first 3 centers to the heart. Dividing line. Maya. What does the word Maya mean? This is where you live in the world of the physical, of the animal, playing the games that please the animal. Maya is everything that you do. The golden bricks, the desires for body thrills, the power play, all of this basically is Maya. Animal. Engrossed, attached, and can't see beyond the animal part of yourself, searching for its pleasures, and of course it is governed by instinct. Then we move to the next segment, which is from the heart center to the top of the head, and this is called Manas, which means the mind, the intellect. This is when you have developed the animal, released at least a part of the animal, and have begun to think in terms of reasoning or manipulation. The easiest way to know the difference is that an animal will come up by a fire and warm itself, but a man will throw another log on it to make it keep burning. Animal will never put a log on the fire. That's the easiest way to know the difference. Manas is where your intellect rules. Cunning, clever, sometimes very brutal, sometimes very kind, very gentle. But your mind, your brain system, your memory pattern, all the things that go to make up a thinking man is known as Manas. The next step is from the top of the head to the golden globe. And this is referred to as the Buddha, or the liberated one, or the Christ, or the divine being who walks in purification. You're still conscious of the world. You still have a certain sense of personality. You still are in the movement of what we call the first substance of form. It is from this level down that we begin form. This is where you decide what type of body you're going to use, what type of body you need, what type of parents you want, and all this kind of business. And then from the golden globe, yes?
From that, you need all the things that take place before you come in to the physical body.
Yes.
To determine where you're going to be. How does it, okay, all these others have to do with while you're in your physical body. The body skills and the reasoning capabilities. Okay, how does that good and down relate to me as I am now?
Well, there's a lot more to answer that question than that. But I'm just hitting basics. When you come down and hit your Buddha level, you begin to take up the divine Godhead coming into a form. That means the atom structure, the basic seed, the permanent atom, now whirls to form. having brought a part of the soul pattern down, which is formless, but yet in pattern in a latent image, drops down to this plane here and sees your record, looks at your record. What is left in the Akashic record that needs to be straightened out? In harmony with what you pulled out of the soul pattern this time, it blends with that part of the record that this part decides it wants to work out. This begins to hold the image. This begins to collect the patterns, and this puts it into its physical expression, at its second physical expression. And then when you birth, this pattern builds to this.
How does it change? How does it change?
It puts latent images into you. Every time you come to retreat, there's certain forces put into your brain system, like a latent image to be worked out. And it has to be worked out.
So I've been with you for 6 years, and I've had several
Dramatic changes. Then there's some more to come.
Much more subtle.
Well, it's sure subtle until you make it real, and then it crystallizes into your physical expressions. You're finally gradually getting to the point to where you're making your really own decisions rather than searching for something to make a decision for you. This is your Buddha consciousness saying, hey, little one, you shouldn't run off there, but if you do, you're going to be miserable. So go ahead and get miserable. And when you get miserable enough, come on back. It's latent. Latent means that which is impressed that yet has not been expressed into a reality.
So I've expressed already several of those.
Oh, you better believe it.
But I still don't see it. It's clear.
It's like living in a house and you don't see the house. You don't want to recognize them because what you want is some fantastic fanfare. And they're little things that have changed you.
I can see very clearly the lowest part of my kingdom. I know.
That's because it makes you so damn miserable. Well, you've been doing it.
But I still would like to be able to see clearer how that other part works, because I can see very clearly when I use my intellect to reason out how to.
Now let go of your intellect and let go of your animal and become your Buddha, and you will see very clearly how to use it. Give it up. Surrender. Let go of some of the things. Well, you're beginning to. And you will begin to see better. But it doesn't happen overnight like you want it to happen. Okay, so I worked for 30 years and you want it in 6 years. Sorry. Take another 6 years. All right, we move from the Buddha, this section here, to what we call Atma. Atma is a word used to mean at one-ment, or the divine self, or the clear being. Now we learn these different states in our divine plan, then we become the worker in the plan. Now it's true that Connie is not a worker from this level. She's beginning to be a worker from this level, and she was working at this level real hard about 2 or 3 years ago, and she got involved with a throwback. That's enough. I'll teach you to ask questions. Okay. I won't say no more. I'll just say this. Most people want what they want when they want the way they want it. And they don't always come out that way. We have to watch our personal desires because they will throw us back down to one of these centers to act among. And it can cause us a lot of pain. We can shed a lot of tears. We can get lost in confusion. And we can swear to God that the one that we thought that really was supposed to belong to us was the meanest so-and-so that ever lived. And it's because we get caught in a spin, in a twine, in a whirl, and we kind of get lost in Maya and generally in Manas at the same time. And we try to make them work, and they won't work. They work maybe for a short period of time, and then our divine self comes down and begins to pick it apart. And if you're not stable enough, it really can cause a great deal of unhappiness. Is it harder to break through after you've slid from home base back to third? Yeah. Yes, it is. Because now you have to fight your way through all that stuff again. And it's harder to let go of. It's really hard to let go of the second time. Because your mind keeps wondering, how come it didn't work? What was my mistake? How come that other person didn't harmonize? And you just go over and over and over and over until after a while you finally make your breakthrough and come back, and then you just bless everything that's happened and say, gosh, I learned a great experience there, and I'm happy that I learned that, and I'm not going to get caught in that again. And then you turn to your God self and try to live for it rather than for certain things in which you got involved. Meditation and the impersonal state. You see, most of us make everything personal. You got to behave exactly the way I want you to behave. If you don't, boy, I'm going to give you heck. But if I'm impersonal, I say, well, she's got to learn. Do it her own way. So I don't let you affect me by drinking your coffee with your left hand when I think you ought to drink it with your right hand.